If you like what you're watching, smash that like button and give us 1,000 likes or more. Here's your wrestling news for March 18th, 2021. And your headlines for today include WWE giving away free masks and checking fans at WrestleMania 37. Major match seemingly pulled from WWE Fastlane 2021. Charly Caruso pulled from WWE television due to backstage heat. AEW wrestlers get standing ovation. AEW fires shot at new WWE rule on Dynamite this week. WWE wrestler is coming out of retirement, return date announced. Yet another seasoned WWE wrestler is wrestling again. WWE issuing refunds after WWE Network closes. Vince was right about him. Seth Rollins tears into WWE superstar on social media. Shawn Michaels' biggest regret, and more. We're starting today with WrestleMania, as tickets for this year's show will be going on sale later than WWE had initially planned, and they'll also be much harder to come by. That's according to John Alba, who is reporting that despite WWE wanting 45,000 fans at each night of WrestleMania, that the show will instead host 25,000 people per night. Alba also said there will be, quote, seating pods, social distancing, and that masks will be required at all times. Those lucky enough to attend will be offered free masks upon entry, where their temperature will be checked, as well as health screenings. If a fan has a high temperature, they likely won't be permitted to enter the Raymond James Stadium, though WWE have been quiet about how they'll handle any refunds. When WWE and stadium representatives spoke to local businesses, the 45,000 figure was used to drum up interest, but with that figure being nearly halved, WWE isn't taking any chances at their biggest show. We've already covered how tickets for the show were meant to go on sale last Tuesday, but those plans were postponed, and now we know when tickets will finally be available to buy. WWE have confirmed that fans will be able to buy tickets from tomorrow, and that the WrestleMania 37 pre-sale will begin today. Tickets for this year's show will range from $3,500 to $2,500, and with fewer tickets available, we expect these will sell out immediately. Before WrestleMania though, WWE will host Fastlane this Sunday, which will be the company's first pay-per-view of the Peacock era. This past week on Raw, it was announced that Braun Strowman will face Shane McMahon this Sunday, but it appears that this match is off. On WWE.com, the match has been removed from the official preview for Fastlane 2021, and this isn't the first time WWE has removed something abruptly after an official announcement. Fans will remember that Seth Rollins' return was promoted for the first SmackDown of the year, only to happen on February 12th instead. Before the Strowman-McMahon match was announced for Fastlane, fans expected it to take place at WrestleMania, and that certainly seems more likely with their Fastlane match cancelled. One person fans shouldn't expect at Fastlane or WrestleMania is Charly Caruso, who's been pulled from WWE TV for the considerable future. This explains why Caruso was absent from this week's Raw Talk, and according to Fightful Select, the WWE interviewer recently garnered heat backstage when she was late to do interviews intended for Raw. It was also noted that there were specific instances with Randy Orton which led to WWE pulling her from TV, and this may be the beginning of the end for her time with the company. Fightful's report also added that there are a lot of people who don't think Caruso will stick around when her current contract expires, which is reportedly very soon. One source said that the new host of Raw Talk, Kevin Patrick, is being seen as a direct replacement for her, so whilst fans can still find her on ESPN under her real name Charlie Arnault, she won't be on WWE TV right now. One person fans can see on WWE TV is Drew McIntyre, who recently had a line on Raw which many fans thought was a dig at AEW. Speaking about the promises MVP had made, McIntyre said that sparks fly when promises aren't kept in wrestling, which many fans believe was a reference to the sparklers used for the disappointing end of the exploding barbed wire death match at Revolution. Speaking to Forbes after the show, McIntyre said he didn't think twice about the sparks fly line, but understands why fans thought that. He said, "I came backstage and somebody came up to me. They played it out to me and I went, oh yeah, that could be taken that way. Maybe subconsciously I made a joke. I don't like that shot back and forth stuff." In the heat of the moment, McIntyre didn't mean to take a dig at AEW's underwhelming ending to Revolution, but given his lines were scripted, it's always possible that someone else had that intention. This week's Dynamite saw Thunder Rosa and Dr. Britt Baker collide in the main event, in a match many are already considering a Match of the Year candidate. A brutal match from start to finish, fans can now watch a behind-the-scenes video where Tony Khan can be seen telling Baker that was one of the best things he's seen on TV, before telling Rosa, "That was one of the best things we've ever seen, thank you so much, you're awesome." Thunder Rosa, who won the match, received a standing ovation from the AEW roster post-match, and a hug from her old rival Hikaru Shida. Baker said that she felt like hell, but says she thinks Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley will be proud of her, and we certainly agree with the battered dentist. Ever since AEW was founded, the company has taken shots at WWE on a nearly weekly basis, and this week was no different thanks to Don Callis' appearance on Dynamite. During the show, Callis drew attention to his new shirt, which pokes fun at WWE's new rule against slapping your leg while kicking. Callis even held the shirt up for the camera to see, and this shirt comes just days after AEW made fun of the rule on being the Elite, with Matt Hardy apparently posing $500 fines to anyone caught slapping their leg for any reason. This isn't the first time AEW have felt the need to reference WWE, and it certainly won't be the last, and time will tell what the All Elite promotion has to say about their competition next week. Over to NXT now, and our first match for TakeOver Stand and Deliver was confirmed on last night's show. During the show, NXT Cruiserweight Champion Jordan Devlin returned, confronting NXT Cruiserweight Champion Santos Escobar, who became the interim champion when Devlin was unable to travel from Europe due to the ongoing situation. Calling Escobar's championship a, quote, little replica title, Escobar said he's redefined being a cruiserweight, and a championship unification match was set for the two-night TakeOver next month. Devlin is already set to defend his title against Trent Seven on today's edition of NXT UK, and with it likely that he'll retain the gold, fans will get to see the two champions collide at TakeOver. This week's NXT also saw the continuation of the Kyle O'Reilly vs. Adam Cole feud, which turned even uglier than before. Appearing on the Titantron, O'Reilly says he knows where Cole lives, much to the anger of the former NXT champion, who vented his frustrations to William Regal. The NXT GM was alerted later in the show to something happening in the back and saw both men being arrested by law enforcement, with Cole claiming O'Reilly had tried to run him off the road. Regal said that he hopes the police drop the charges, as he has promised a solution for their situation next week, though stopped short of saying what it is. It's believed that Cole vs. O'Reilly will happen at TakeOver Stand and Deliver, presumably with some stipulation, but we'll have to wait until next week to know for sure. Fans should find out next week if that match will happen at next month's TakeOver, but we do know that the NXT title will be on the line. Kicking off this week's show, NXT champion Finn Balor spoke about being champion before he was interrupted by Karrion Kross and a title match set for the two for Stand and Deliver. Kross had to vacate the title he won from Keith Lee due to injury, an injury that allowed Balor to become champion, and now he'll get a chance to win that title back. After no showing Bound for Glory 2020, where she was meant to challenge for the Knockouts title, Kylie Rae announced her retirement for wrestling. But now that retirement is coming to an end. Right after AEW's main event between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, Warrior Wrestling announced that Rae is returning for their June 5th event at the Marian Catholic High School in Chicago, where she'll defend her Warrior Wrestling women's title. It's unclear who she'll face on the night, but it's also been confirmed that Thunder Rosa will be at the event too. Given that the promotion said that the timing of the announcement immediately after the Rosa-Baker match might give fans a clue, it seems Rae will face Rosa in her first match back in what we're sure will be an entertaining return. As a star in WCW, WWE, and TNA, Sean Waltman accomplished plenty in wrestling, but he didn't end things as he hoped. While speaking to Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, Waltman said he didn't leave the wrestling business on his terms, saying he wasted a lot of years of his life. He added that he'd be psyched to have more matches in a WWE ring, but said he'd consider other companies if WWE isn't interested. Waltman also announced the launch of his new podcast, Pro Wrestling for Life, which will be hosted by Nick Hausman, as the former X-Pac is certainly making up for what he believes is lost time. Fans can watch Waltman's years in wrestling on the WWE Network, which will officially close today and be moved to Peacock for US subscribers. This is the biggest change the network has ever had, which is why WWE published a little Q&A for fans who are having their accounts closed. In that Q&A, WWE confirmed that fans will get a refund for the remaining days of March that fans have paid for but won't be able to use. For credit card, debit card, or PayPal users, this will be a simple payment into their preferred payment method, whilst gift card subscribers will receive the remaining amount in a choice of over 300 gift cards. We'll have to see how smoothly WWE transitions into its new home on Peacock, but at least fans won't be losing money thanks to this colossal change. It'll be on Peacock that fans can watch Shawn Michaels' last match, but that's a match HBK doesn't want fans to see. After 8 years in retirement, Michaels came out for one last match when DX faced the Brothers of Destruction at Crown Jewel 2018, a match that was panned by critics and fans alike. Speaking to the New York Post, Michaels said how he didn't know that The Undertaker was hoping that this would be the match he could retire on, and said that he can only apologize for the underwhelming match. After 8 years away from the ring, Michaels impressed fans with how he performed at Crown Jewel, but his performance couldn't save this incredibly disappointing match. Back to Raw, as Andrade recently requested his release from WWE after months of going unused, and though that request was denied, we imagine it's just a matter of time before he's a former superstar. This week, AEW's Jim Ross discussed the Andrade situation on his Grillin' JR podcast, and said that though he doesn't watch as much WWE content as fans believe, he's aware that the former US champion wants out. JR said that given the ongoing situation, he's surprised Andrade, or anyone, would request to leave a job, saying, "You damn sure don't want to ask for a release unless you've got somewhere to go, and where you can establish some stability, financial security. I don't know if he has that, or if he doesn't have that." JR added that if Andrade is angry or disappointed with how things are going, that those aren't the right reasons to ask for a release during this ongoing situation, especially if you don't have somewhere to go. With that said, AEW hasn't shied away from signing former WWE superstars over the past year, including Paul White, Christian Cage, and Sting, and we'll have to see if Andrade is next on the list to call the All Elite promotion home. For weeks, Sami Zayn has been flanked by his own camera crew as he's promised a documentary that'll expose what he considers a conspiracy against him, and he may be getting some major help in doing just that. During Talking Smack, Zayn name-dropped Logan Paul whilst speaking to Kevin Owens, and the successful, albeit controversial YouTuber responded with a tweet teasing he's interested in hearing Zayn out. Now, the SmackDown superstar has responded to Paul, saying that given that Paul knows all about everything being against him, he should be on his side and help Zayn out. At this time, Paul hasn't replied to Zayn's comment, but it'll be interesting to see what the former Intercontinental Champion has to say when his documentary eventually comes out. And we're ending today with Seth Rollins, who was recently complimented by his rival Cesaro during an interview with TalkSport, but that feeling isn't mutual. During the interview, Cesaro discussed a possible WrestleMania match against Rollins, but the Messiah responded on Twitter with some harsh words. Branding Cesaro a coward, Rollins said that the Swiss Cyborg is trying to ride his coattails into WrestleMania, and said that Vince McMahon is right about him. We imagine that last line stems from McMahon reportedly not seeing Cesaro as a top star, despite the massive support from the fans. And we'll have to see if these two collide at this Sunday's Fastlane, or even at WrestleMania, a match the Architect is vehemently against. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.